My name is Jessica Little, and I'm a born and raised Londoner. So the last few years, my clients have been asking me like if I knew a good tradesperson, and I was just like, well, my dad is one, but he's just always so busy. So I decided I wanted to help my clients in the local community by finding and showcasing kind, honest, trustworthy trades, people with accountability and prices that match their work. This is Trade Talk. I'm Jessica Little. On this week's episode of Trade Talk, I'm here with Mruphy from HomeSure Inspections. How's it going, Mark?
Very good. How are you today?
Good. I'm glad we got to have a nice day to film in Spring Break Park.
That's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah. I got to do it another day too, so this was nice. So I just, my brother had to refer me to you.
Yep.
Because he thought you had a lot of integrity and you've been doing this for a long time. And so anybody that my brother refers is obviously a good guy.
Yeah, your brother's fantastic.
Got to know you a little bit. So yeah. So I just kind of wanted to start with like how you got started or your background previous to getting started with this.
Okay. So my background has always been in construction. So we were running a construction company, and I met all the trades. I met some fantastic people, including your brother. Yeah. And so we're doing that for about 10, 12 years. And then after that, I was working so much, I was like, you know what, I started taking my courses to do my home inspection stuff.
Oh, okay.
So we did that, and then I basically completed all my courses and decided just kind of one day, all right, I'm gonna just do home inspections. Oh. I'm not gonna do construction anymore.
Was it just like too much? Like,
it was too much, yeah, because we had two small children, we had a lot of time commitments. Okay. And when you're kind of running a construction company, you're out 7 days a week. If you're not meeting people, then you're setting up quotes, then you're following up with people trying to get money and stuff like that. So
that's my dad too. He's done it since I was a kid.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's 24/7, and 100%, you don't get a break.
And you don't get a break. And I did have commitments like for rugby and stuff like that for my kids.
Oh, okay.
So I needed to be able to get out kind of 2 or 3 days a week.
Because they were doing rugby, and
they were doing rugby,
also...
and I was playing rugby, and then I was trying to help coach them as well. So in construction, I found I just didn't have any time.
Yeah.
So started doing home inspections. It took off for me very, very quick.
Oh, because you had a lot of contacts?
I had a lot of contacts, and I knew real estate agents and stuff like that. So it really didn't take long for it to start to I was a bit worried, right? Just going from a full-time job to all of a sudden going, okay, I'm not doing that anymore.
That's always like a fear, right?
Of course, right? Yeah, and you never know, right? You're like, okay, how am I gonna make enough money to feed a family, right? So just kind of basically one day just said, okay, stopping that, and we moved over to home inspections, and it just took off.
Oh, see, but it's good because it was a smooth transition because it was kind of in and around the things that you're doing. Like,
100%, yeah.
And because you actually have that background with construction, that's like a perfect
when I was taking the courses, because I hadn't actually done any schoolwork and stuff like that for quite a while, so when I was taking the courses, I was a little bit worried, but a lot of the stuff was just I knew from secondhand from doing it every day of the week.
Yeah.
There was something in each course where you learn, you're like, okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was common knowledge to me.
Well, and the thing is, like with me, if I'm doing something, I learn more doing something. Right?
Oh,
so because you had done a lot of these things, you're like, oh, I get that, I understand that.
Yeah, 100%. Hands-on is just, for me, it's the way to go.
Okay, so you were saying like you do a lot of like just people referring you. Are you mostly referral basis?
Referral based, yeah. I've gotten to be friends with a lot of real estate agents in town, and a lot of them will hand out my name as well as a couple of other home inspectors' names, just to make sure I let the client pick. Yeah. But also through they have their own private chats and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of times when other real estate agents go, hey, do you have a good home inspector, then my name will come up on that chat. Yeah. I'm not part of that chat.
So is it like a Facebook group chat, or is it like they have internal messengers?
Internal messaging too, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's different ones out there. And I think the internal message one, for whatever reason, my name just keeps coming up on it.
Well, the thing is like with any job, it's if you like have integrity.
Yep.
And so they're referring you because you do a good job, but you're also friendly. Because that, like a lot of it has to do with your personality, how you treat people, your follow through, getting back to people, all that kind of stuff. So
100%, and I do pride myself on that. Like I show up on time, I'm personable, I dress well, to do my job, sort of thing. And also people can rely on me. So I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah, and that's why my brother referred you, because our family's like that. Like we're from the generation where a handshake meant something, right? Yeah, so it's just like, or just cut from the cloth of where a handshake meant something.
Fair, yeah.
So you sent me some pictures of some like crazy things.
Yeah.
We saw that really weird receptacle one where there's those, and then there's a bunch of things. What are some of the crazy things that you see? Like,
so I come across all different things. Some, I'll give you an explanation. So I went to home inspection. There was a lady with me, and we went inside. And part of my job is to have a look at the electrical panel. So I've got an insulated screwdriver. I put it to the electrical panel to go open up the screw.
A screwdriver that goes through insulation?
No, it's insulated. Sorry, so the electrical current won't go through it.
Yeah. To take the panel.
To take the panel cover off. So I went to take the panel cover off, and I went to turn the screw, and the electrical panel just went in a big shock like this, and smoke started stepping out of it. So naturally, we stepped back.
Yeah.
And then another big spark and smoke came out of it again. Okay, so we just turned the electrical off. As we continued in this inspection, I was checking the attic space for her. So I knocked on the attic. I always knock on the attic because I don't want to surprise any animals.
Yeah.
So I knocked on the attic door, and I heard this, I can only describe it as an ungodly squeal. Yeah, yeah. And then I kind of waited, and then I knocked on the attic door again, and the same squeal. To the point where the lady was just like, okay, I'm not buying this house. She just walked out.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, so I did open the attic, and it was, I presume, a raccoon. They had left by the time, after 2 knocks, they decided to leave. But I presume it was a raccoon up there, and they had been living up there for quite some time.
Oh my God. And then there was that other weird receptacle that was plugged into another...
Yeah, so I see a lot of different electrical things that homeowners maybe do that really shouldn't do. Like, I'm big on, if you need a trade, hire a good trade, right?
Yeah.
But if you think, okay, I'm going to wire this box, or I'm going to do this connection, like, you shouldn't be done, right?
Yeah.
Hire an electrician to do any electrical work. It's just without fault.
Yeah.
That plug that you're referring to, it was extended because it was the plug itself was deeper in the wall, and it was extended out, but it was so dangerous that I don't know how the house didn't burn down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just, you cringe when you see stuff like that, you're just like, oh my God, and these people have done it. Like, I was in an attic space once, and there was a wire sitting right at the top of the attic space, and it wasn't live, so I was like, okay, it's not live.
Yeah.
Somebody just left it there.
Yeah.
But I went down just to check, and I turned on a few light switches, and it made it live, and it was sitting there just waiting.
It wasn't marred?
No.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
it was sitting there just waiting to...
Oh my gosh.
Something happened. I mean, electrical wires give off a hum, and animals love to chew on it. So if an animal starts chewing on it, then we could get into big trouble.
Okay. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in trouble with anybody.
No, I don't want to get in any trouble with electricity at all, right? So, but that's the kind of just an idea of what people do, and it could have been 3 homeowners ago.
Yeah.
Right? They've sold the house, somebody else has moved in, and they don't know that that's there.
But wouldn't there have been other home inspectors previous? Like, if it's been sold a few times,
depends on the market.
or they didn't catch. The market, because the market was so crazy, there was like no conditions.
There was no
at that
conditions,
point,
yeah.
right?
So it really does depend on the market, and some people just. Some home inspectors have got a bad name for themselves. Yeah. So some people don't use a home inspector. They'll bring in a handyman or something like that and have them go through. And if they don't do the entire process, then there's a likelihood they're going to miss something.
So now people, like at the time when COVID was happening, how did that affect your business? Because a lot of people, like, there was no conditions, people weren't using the inspections as much.
Yeah, so what happened was my next door neighbor is a good friend of mine. He's a real estate agent. And him and I got together and we talked about it, and we came up with the idea of a short inspection, like a pre-offer inspection.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier,
Yeah.
Right?
So it takes an hour, and basically we go through the house. I'm going at very, very fast. I'm trying to get as many big ticket items as I can, like foundation, electrical, plumbing, attic spaces. And it took an hour, and then I'll give them a report as soon as I'm done. And then at least you have a good idea as you're going into a competitive buying situation. Okay, well, I know I still need $5,000 for these repairs here. Yeah. Or, no, I'm good, the house is perfect, or the house is a disaster, I don't want to put an offer in.
And it would have to happen day of, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, you'd have to be on the pulse and, like, waiting for the phone calls, right?
Yeah,
so I bet you got a lot that way.
I got a ton that way. And some of them, I was very fortunate that I was able to help my clients with some of them as well. Like, I'll send you some pictures of one that we went into, and it was a heavy competitive house. And when I looked in the attic was completely burnt. So there had been a fire, and the current homeowners knew nothing about it. But basically, the joists, when I went to look at them, the roof joists, were so badly damaged that it was going to cause trouble. Yeah. So luckily for my clients, I was able to show them that, and then they were like, okay, we're not going to put a bid in this house because obviously we have to replace the entire roof system. But the house sold that day.
See, so sad that like either it was COVID or other inspectors didn't catch those things.
True.
You know what I mean? So like you've been doing it for a long time, so you're thorough with everything. Then,
Yes,
right?
yeah, and I have my process, so like it's kind of, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and just kind of move through my list, and it's very thorough. Like I'm told by real estate agents, I'm very thorough. I do more than the average home inspector does. But I'm happy to do that way. I'm happy to take the time and make sure. I don't want to make an error.
So do you have other people that help you out and work with you and stuff like that too?
It's funny. I've been asked that by some of the real estate agents that use me a lot. As I got busier, they'd ask me to can I do this job, and I'm like, I don't have any time to do that for you. Sorry, can we do it tomorrow or the next day? So they have actually asked me, would you hire somebody? They've asked me to clone myself too, but obviously we're not there yet. Would you?
So, there's some interesting technology coming.
True, yeah. Well, maybe we're there.
Well, we won't talk about that. That's another topic.
So, in terms of that, I don't want to hire somebody else because I don't think they'd be able to give what I can give, and I'm not being, I'm not putting myself up here. I know how I interact with my clients. I know what I'm looking for. And if I was to hire somebody and have them do that, maybe even if I train them really well, maybe they would take shortcuts there. They would miss something. So for now, I'm just saying a one-man show.
Because
100%, right?
Yeah, that's the reason I don't hire too. I decided to rejig what I was doing because I have the capacity to do that, but then I just can't monitor what everybody's doing,
100%,
right?
yeah. And then you don't know if somebody's going to try and take shortcuts when you're not looking.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be devastating because what if something bad happened and you weren't? Yeah, I totally understand.
It's on me, right?
Yeah,
it's on my company.
I know,
right?
on your conscience.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But anyways, all right. So for the final question, I just want to know: do you have any tips and tricks for people if they're looking for a home inspector? Like, what should they be looking out for?
Well, I think look for somebody that's established. I think look for somebody that has a history, and then definitely look for somebody that go do your research on them. Make sure they have a good Google profile, good Google reviews, to make sure that you've got the right person. Don't necessarily, like some of the questions I get when people call me are, how much do you charge? To me, that should be not the first question you ask. It should be, it's obviously necessary to know, but you shouldn't base it on, because I do believe I'm actually probably one of the lowest cost inspectors in town, but that shouldn't be the question. That shouldn't be the first question you ask. It should be, what's your experience? What kind of report do you have? Do you have any reviews? Can I talk to anybody that's maybe used you in the past that would give you?
I'd rather use somebody that, regardless of price, like knows what they're doing.
100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to cheap out when you're doing a big, huge project like that, buying a house and doing the whole
It's
thing.
kind of one of the biggest things you will do in your life, expenses in your life. You should make sure that the person that's advising you on it is going to do a good job and has a history of doing a good job.
Well, yeah, there's some things that you can do, like brand name ketchup or no name ketchup.
Right.
But not with home inspections. It's not okay. No.
I agree.
You have to ask the price, obviously.
The price it is obviously a part of the equation. But for me, again, just history and reviews and talking to other people, like talking to real estate agents and see who they recommend as well is obviously important. But yeah, do your research.
And that's how I found you, is through my brother, because he had worked with you. So I found all of my guests for this show from my clients because it was all referrals, right? So it's just like people that have dealt with these people and you trust them to give you the the right opinion on it. So like, it's good. Okay, so as the final part of the show, you either have to do a handshake or a dance. Which one would you choose?
I don't know about my dance moves, so let's do a handshake.
Okay, all right. Okay, sounds good. Okay, you ready? Get that dirt off your shirt. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Awesome.
This is brilliant.
So in this week's episode of Trade Talk, I'll be dealing with Dean from Renos. And how's it going, Dean?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah. So my brother had referred me over to Dean because obviously you're doing good work.
We've worked together in the past,
Yeah. So I just thought I would interview you and ask how you get started. Like, you kind of filled me in a little bit on your history, but we want the viewers to kind of.
Yeah, really. I worked for some guys when I was younger, and I needed to pay for university. So I decided I'd do decks and fences. And then if university didn't work out, I'd do decks and fences, and I'd only have to work when it was sunny. But that didn't really work out. I did one fence, and then it just kind of graduated into renovations, which was I'd already had a background in a little bit. So from there, it just kind of kept going, and then I finished school. I actually worked in an office in Toronto for about a year, just under a year, and I got a call from some friends here who said, hey, we're doing a restaurant and we're behind. Would you come back home and finish it? So I kind of gave my notice and came back, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, you weren't for the corporate world. It wasn't your thing.
It's just not for me. No, it was a little too slow paced.
So what did you take in school? I never asked you that.
I took economics.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, obviously not quite related, but much more enjoyable.
Yeah, but it's still, that helps with like project management and everything. Like helps with a lot of things.
I suppose if there's lessons you can take from it that you can kind of apply to everyday life in any business.
Yeah.
But it's not as exciting as, not that construction's overly exciting, but you get to meet new people. You're always going to different places.
Yeah.
So much more enjoyable than just watching the clock.
So you started like with residential, and now you've done a lot more commercial stuff.
Yeah, so residential, obviously, I think that's where most guys start. Started, like I said, fencing and decking. Started in a Dodge Neon. It's kind of all I could afford when I was in school.
I'm not good with cars. I'm trying to picture what that looks like.
It's just a 4-door little.
Oh, okay. Oh,
little car.
I think that's the Dodges that my dad uses, the Dodge like vans, right?
Yeah, same brand. Same brand.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then we got into business with some house flippers. We were doing a lot of their work for them. And it's a great place to kind of build a company, but it's not a great place to stay because they're obviously in business to pay as little as possible, and sometimes there's conflict with the quality of work you want to do and the quality of work they want to have done. So just two different business models. So from there, you just kind of graduate up, and you get in more and more into residential. We get into a lot of we just build in residential. Into a lot more like custom millwork and things like that, bigger projects, obviously, additions and everything else. And then we kind of graduated into the commercial space, and now we live in the commercial space probably 90% of
So do you
what
have somebody that helps with the design program and stuff? Or do you, like AutoCAD you use?
So we use some programs ourselves in-house, but for the most part, we'll sub most of it out to draftsmen and architects because ultimately they're at this level, they'll apply for the permits. I used to take permits in myself.
I was going to say you would have started out doing everything yourself.
But
I have my own business too.
Now that's just not a possibility. So it's easier that way. You have certain people who do certain things, and also the labor market has changed a lot since I started. So when I first started, I used to be able to find anybody. Like you'd have more people than you were looking for.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where you just couldn't find good people. Not that you can't find good people anywhere, but there are definitely, but in general, like for in large amounts. And now with COVID, and it's not just myself, it's everybody else in the business, is you just can't find people.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot, and I found that a lot of us have started to lean on each other more, where we help each other out, we sub from each other more than we rely on our own employees for everything. Yeah,
because those guys are like reliable then.
Yeah, and you can't, like COVID, obviously a lot of guys decided that they don't come back to work, or for us, like we're a general contracting company at this point. So for us, employees are necessary, but we get into a lot of electrical and a lot of plumbing, and I'm not trying to grow an electrical company or grow a plumbing company. I'm not an electrician. You know what I mean? I'm not a plumber. So we already sub those. And then when we're doing commercial, you have large amounts of drywall and usually timelines. So a guy who does drywall every day is going to be better at it than a guy who does it once a week.
Yeah. And so do you manage a lot of those projects? Plus you do the work yourself, a lot of work yourself.
Yeah. So I don't do as much work myself as I used to. Obviously, it's impossible. A lot of my day is spent either ordering stuff or visiting customers. Obviously, checking on jobs, setting up jobs. I still do work every day.
But overseeing everything to make sure it all comes together.
Yeah, of course. Of course, the project management is the biggest part of my job now. But I don't think you'll ever get to a point where, I don't think I'd be able to get to a point where I just couldn't physically get in there and do. Exactly. Right?
There's never gonna be a point where you don't have dirt on your shirt. It's just not who you are as a
patience
person.
Patience is not to watch somebody struggle. It's not built into me. So we'll always help. We'll always do something.
Well, that's probably why you've excelled with what you do, is because you help. And you don't just sit back. You're in the thick of it.
If you were to talk to some of my guys, they might have a different opinion some days. But
integrity does a lot. Like you said, you've all been referrals.
So we don't advertise at all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's kind of is actually an old carpet installer, friend of our family's. I asked him when I first started. The Yellow Pages was calling me saying, "Oh, you've got to advertise. You got to advertise." Yeah. And I asked his opinion. He'd been in business for 30, 40 years, and he said, you know what? He goes, don't waste your money. He goes, because you're too young, you're too new. He goes, if you spend your money on that, you'll constantly be spending more to get more calls. He said, just build your business slow and let word of mouth take you. He goes, word of mouth, you'll build slower, but you'll be busy forever. And to be honest, we never look for work.
It's the same thing with me now. Like after the few years that I've done it, it took a while to build up, but everybody's like referrals.
Yeah,
I'm the same, but it's integrity, like you having integrity and doing right by people and like saying what you're going to, actually doing what you said you're going to do.
Well, and it's nice because on one hand, people want to trust and like the person who's doing the work for them, and that's why word of mouth is so good. But there's an entire different side to that coin, which is where I want to like the people that I'm doing work for. Like I want to enjoy working for the people that I'm working for. So I think it has to be a symbiotic kind of relationship. And if it's not, I have no interest in the work. Like I said, we're not starving for work by any stretch. In fact, we turn down an awful lot of work. So I think it's not just about the bottom dollar and about money. It's also about, like, I do this every day. Am I going to do this every day for 40 years and not like the people that I'm working with?
Yeah, it's about peace and harmony in your own life too, and balance. Because for me, that's like the most important thing. Like some things aren't worth it. And so having balance and good people to work with and hearty people that you can relate to and like you can actually communicate with and get things achieved, whether it be like workers or the people that you do jobs for, it's like...
Yeah, and I think every company kind of learns as they go, and I think your stress levels graduate with you, and just the way you do things and approach things. And as you get older, you've been in it longer, you start to realize that, like, I do have an option here, you don't have to take everything.
That's exactly how I used to feel too.
So, then it also gives you more time to concentrate on the work you're doing, instead of trying to be like everything to everybody, or make it just proper scheduling. Obviously is important, and in commercial, it's time is money. Like, this is their livelihoods. Like your customer, this is how they make money, it's how they feed their family. So meeting deadlines is extremely important. So.
And having all those sub-trades and everybody working together, because you can't just take it all on yourself. So.
Yeah, and some people especially in the residential market, they'll take, I don't want to say offense, but they'll take it kind of like, oh, well, you're subbing that out, you're not doing everything yourself. And I guess my response, and probably from a little bit of an economics background, is, well, realistically, how could I do as good a job as a guy who only does this? It's impossible. So if you want the best quality job, you probably just need somebody who knows somebody who's very good at what they do and does it every day and can put all those pieces together. And you'll get the best quality job, and you'll probably get the cleanest job and probably the most efficient and cost-effective job.
It's true.
But a lot of people, they kind of like, in the residential market especially, they're kind of like, oh, you're not doing not everybody, but you're not doing it all yourself. And it's like, well, I can't. Like, I didn't have 20 years to learn each one individually. Life's just not that long.
Well, and you do such a good job because you have your specific expertise and they have their specific expertise. And then you culminate together. But it's a big task and a chore getting all those people throughout the years, like getting reliable people, guys.
Yeah, it does take a long time to build those teams. And then it's also schedules, right? So, like, everybody's busy. And then just keeping schedules in order, because it's construction, right? So if everything's going right in construction, you've got big problems. So, like I always say, if something's not going wrong, you've got bigger problems than you realize.
But I was gonna say, so right now we're at Legends, and like they're just doing some concrete work here.
They're just doing a little bit of work on the patio. So they just removed a concrete bar that they used to have here, because they don't really use the bar anymore. And just a little bit more shaded area for some tables. So people can enjoy the patio if it's a little too hot out, or if it's raining a little bit. They still have somewhere
to sit. How do they put the stone back in? Like, or are they just going to leave it looking like?
This is an exposed aggregate. But this was laid like 10 years ago. So to try and match that, would almost be you'd notice anyway. So it's more about a safety, making sure it's safe.
Just like stucco, when you have to patch stucco, it's like.
Well, you're better off doing the whole panel, right?
So is there anything else that, like, what is your goals going forward, just to kind of end the interview? Like, where do you see the next 5 years,
I think,
10 years?
Well, at the moment, the way my business is going is I do a lot more, like I said, of the project management side of things. And considering the labor market is where it is, and we have a ton of baby boomers retiring, we're going to have a huge shortage in the trade. So what I've started to do is, I have my subs I've been using for 20 years and 10 years and everything else, but we've taken on some young sub companies. And instead of hiring employees and building up our company, what we're doing is we're actually putting time into training them. So we'll let them take on jobs that are not out of their wheelhouse, but they don't fully know, but we'll actually go and spend the time to show them and train them and supervise them, and then help them develop that skill so that they can kind of go on and do that for their customers on their own. So
when you choose those people, it's people that you feel like they're easy to work with or good guys.
Yeah, they're ambitious, you know, they want to learn, not afraid to fail. Don't want to fail, but not afraid to fail.
Not too much of an ego because, you know, and
and hungry to learn. So, and you know, it's not like we're like, hey, charging them for it. We're just, we think that more subs are needed because it's not just me, it's everybody, like I said, who's in the same position as me. There's a huge lack of.
So you're looking down the pipeline, and this also comes with your like economics.
Yeah, and I mean,
too,
it's also,
right? Like looking at the way things.
You know, it is altruistic, but it's also not. I mean, in the sense that like we're training guys who can do some of our work as well. I mean, obviously there's a profit motive as well, but it also it helps them. Like it's an awful lot of effort on our part in the beginning, and it may not pay off, it may pay off, but so far it's been received very well. They've come leaps and bounds. I know the one company I'm working with, their gross profits for the entire year. They're doing that in about 2 months now.
Oh wow!
Through us. So if they go back the 2 years they were around, their gross profits, or not gross profits, their gross revenues for the entire year, they're doing that in about every 2 months now.
Oh wow!
So it's been a big difference and a big growth for them.
And they've been able to add employees as well. Or
they've been able to hire and add employees.
The scale, right?
Yep. Okay. So and for us, that's for my business, it's worked out really well. I enjoy it. I like teaching. So it's worked out really well from a standpoint of I get to do something, because after this long, I mean, there's nothing new. Like there's not like we've done high rises, we've done property management, we've done house flips, investor work, we've done commercial, we've done residential, I've done oil field.
This is so good. What you're
where
just
am I?
right now.
Where am I going? Where I'm going to find something new and exciting.
The mentorship,
we know
makes
it
you
in
feel
and out.
rewarding.
It does, and that's where we're at now. Where if we can teach other guys, and then you kind of get that feeling back of excitement, where it's not just like I'm doing the same thing because that I've done for 20 years. I'm watching and helping and showing somebody else how to do it. And like I've always said, like success is a team sport. So it's good to bring on new members. You know, and it's not a competition. Like if you think that in the trades business in 2023 in Ontario that there's competition, then I don't know what economy you're looking at, because there's more than enough work to go around. There's plenty of it.
I always say that with every business, there's more than enough. You know what I mean?
There is, and be good at it and treat people well, and you'll never run out of work.
So I just want to say thank you. Like
I don't know.
It's funny, we just figured out that we went to high school together.
We didn't know that actually.
Yeah, and so like you were friends with my brother, and like and we also are really alternative minded with health, so it was an easy conversation. So I just want to say thanks, and then we can do a high five.
Okay. Thank you.